Thank you guys for clicking on my video. This is Antonio, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this beautiful kitchen epoxy tabletop from start to finish. Today's video is going to be a long one, so buckle up and get ready for the ride of your life. We're going to go ahead and kick this video off with a time lapse. I had a bunch of pre-cut lumber ready to go, and I start off by gluing all these strips together. We are using a combination of both pine, and we threw a little bit of red oak in there. Once that first section is complete, I cut up some more strips on the radial arm saw and prepped them for another glue up. I put this table together in a total of 3 sections before the epoxy pour and surfacing it down. And just like that, we have a beautiful rip cut. So we're going to do that to all our blocks. Now, for those of you who may or may not know, pretty much any aspect of woodworking can be extremely time consuming, and I think this is a pretty good example of that. Fortunately for me, I tend to be a very patient person, and I think that's a huge contributing factor to why woodworking became a passion of mine. For this next part, what I'm doing is I'm taking each piece that I ripped in half and I'm flipping the side with the saw marks face up. That way, when we glue them together, the saw marks will be planed right off when we send it through the planer. So check this out, y'all. I'm just chilling here, working, doing my thing in my backyard, and I forgot it just happens to be the 3rd of July. Tomorrow is the 4th of July, where we celebrate our nation's independence. And as I'm doing some woodwork here, doing my table, I'm just kicking back, watching all the fireworks around me. Let's see if, I know my neighbors were lighting some over here. I don't know if they're gonna come up any minute. Alright, so here I'm basically cutting more blocks to width on the second of 3 sections for this tabletop. This happens to be one of the most time-consuming parts of this project, but it's okay because this staggered glue-up style is also a butcher block style pattern that's highly admirable to many people who are into handcrafted furniture, at least in my experience. So we have 2 of 3 pieces. We got 2 of them here. We got the 3rd one here, which I'm finishing up. And what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna send these through the planer to get them nice and flat. Because even though we glued them together, they look awesome. They're still not perfectly flat. There's gonna be some very minor differences in the widths from when they're glued together. And also, we want to plane off all of the glue, so that'll save us a lot of time with the sanding. But aside from that, it's looking pretty awesome, so let's go ahead and do it. Alright, and check that out. That is a nice looking flat finish. I don't even have to sand it because it looks so dang good all the way through. I don't know if the camera's doing any justice. Let me throw some light on it and you guys can really see that shine. A beautiful silky wood shine. So we are back. We pretty much have the table together. There's my joiner right there. And what we're doing now is I cut up some pieces of MDF here from that sheet. And some of you may know what I'm going to do if you're a woodworker. I have my skill saw here, and what we're going to do is I don't currently own a track saw, so another way around that is to cut a couple pieces of MDF and run your skill saw or worm drive, whatever you have, through here. We're going to cut the edge right here so that it's the exact width from the fence on our skill saw to the blade, and we're going to use that as our homemade track saw. So we're making a homemade track saw. Once that is complete, we now have our track saw, or a track for our skill saw. So to straighten it out, we just get our speed square, we put it up against the edge here, and we use that to line up our track. Once you have your track in the desired spot, I'm gonna grab some clamps. So I have a couple clamps on that side. Once the skill saw gets there, I'll take those off and we'll put them on this side. dang, that is actually a super straight cut. And just like that, we have a super straight edge.
Let's see that one more time. We are now cutting the other side nice and flat.
I gotta say, guys, that is a super satisfying cut. There is very little to absolutely no tear out. Very minor tear out here. But honestly, that definitely beats a $100 track saw. Son of a gun, how about that? But for the record, we also are using a brand new ultra finished blade. This is a 60 tooth that I picked up from Home Depot. I was pretty excited to cut this thing, so I went and picked up a new finishing blade for the skill saw. Check this out, y'all. So I got this temporary tent. I put it around so I'm not in the heat 24/7, and I went and picked up this porta cooler. It's a portable evaporative cooler that I got from Lowe's for like 1,200 bucks. The thing was really expensive, but goddamn, it is one of the best purchases I've ever made. I love this thing. So check this out. It's coming along pretty great. We just got through gluing on the sides, and we just got to glue on the end pieces. And look at this. Look how perfect this fits. You can see here in the corners, it fits like a glove. That is an absolutely perfect fit, but we're not going to glue those on yet, and here is why.
Basically, we're going to be carving an epoxy river right down the middle, and we don't want those edges getting in the way of our carving. So to create this carving, we're going to start off by coming over to the computer. What we want to do is I'm just going to look up some epoxy tables. So I'm going to type in epoxy tables, preferably some top views like this one of an epoxy river table. I'm going to save that to the computer, and then I'm going to open it up inside of Inkscape.
So what I'm doing here is I uploaded the picture to a program called Inkscape, and we're going to use this tool called the Bezier tool, and this allows you to draw curves and lines and stuff, and we're just going to copy the line of the edge of the table here. This is the one that I chose to go with, so we're pretty much just using it as a reference, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Once we have our lines traced out, I move the picture out of the way, and we now have our reference lines for an epoxy table. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to look up a black and white Zia. Go to images, and this one looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and save that. We're going to open up Inkscape, and I already have it here, but you're just going to drag and drop the picture straight into the white square here. Now we're going to right click, go to trace bitmap, and that'll bring this up right here. I'm going to hit update, and that's going to give me of how the outline is going to come out. So we're going to hit OK, and then we move this out of the way, and there, actually that's our image. This is our outline. Now here I have a little USB that came with my shaper origin. I'm going to plug that into the computer, and we are going to save this onto the USB drive. So I went ahead and pulled out the shaper origin right here, and I did a couple test cuts for the Zia inlay that we're going to put on the table. I always do a couple test cuts just to make sure it's going to come out right before I do it on the actual piece.
To start off this carve, I start off by laying out some shaper tape. The tape just basically tells the shaper origin where it's at in space, and after I lay out the tape, I take some measurements. That way I know exactly where I'm placing the Zia, and I ensure that the Zia is going to come out exactly the way that I want it.
When it's all said and done, this is what we have. It came out flawless, absolutely flawless. Not a single flaw in this design. Now, what we do is we could just take our chisel, take off that shaper tape, so we could get a little bit of a better look. And you'll notice some little bits of wood in here. We could just take that right off with the chisel. As well as in here, we could take those Dig those right out. Once I finish picking out all those little pieces, this is how good it's looking.
For the final carving step, we finally get to carving out the river, the main showpiece of the entire table. This is the part I can't wait for. I've been waiting for this forever, and we are finally here. We're finally doing it. We basically repeat all of the same steps that we took to carve out the Zia for the river.
Check it out, guys. I just finished carving out the outer lines of the river, but oh my god, this thing is coming out absolutely insane.
For the next part, this is the most time-consuming part. I end up carving the bulk of the material out completely by hand. I don't do the shape of origin because it takes way too long for this part, and I actually made a mistake. I got a big old chunk flying out into my eyeball. Just heads up, if you're doing this, you want to wear some kind of safety glasses because that shit hurts. Finally, I take the edge pieces that we made earlier and I glue them to the sides using a couple of straps. I don't remember where I seen this trick, but it is one of the best tricks that I've seen if you don't have clamps that are long enough. This is perfect for that. Alright y'all, I had to say it, but we gotta call it right here. I don't want the video dragging on too long. In the next video, we're gonna be doing some lathering, we're gonna be doing some staining, we're gonna be doing some epoxy pouring, and we got a whole lot of other stuff going on, so you guys don't want to miss this. If you guys actually got this far in the video, I love you guys. You guys are freaking awesome. Don't forget to subscribe if you loved it, and have an awesome day.